Thank you for staying with us. And joining us in this conversation that we have been having about developments coming out of Edo State is public affairs analyst Biodun Shomi. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yes, our guest here, Darlington Umoru, has been giving us a background on how we got to where we are now with regards to developments coming out of Edo State, where we see Shuaibu, the former deputy governor, Philip Shuaibu, being impeached as it is, and he was trying to situate things. And for me, I was telling him that, is it possible that the Governor Godwin Obaseki did not understand that the person of Philip Shuaibu was ambitious in terms of he wanted to be governor, and that for him to have gone that far at ensuring that he emerged as governor to the extent of even betraying his supposed godfather, as people say, that there was nothing at stake.
Yeah, when you actually look at the inner workings of the PDP, and also three critical people, Obaseki, Ogie Osarudon, who is currently the SSG, and Philip Shaibu, you would understand that they had some unwritten agreement.
Very good.
Obaseki got the ticket at the expense of Ogie Osarudon, who many people thought would succeed Oshiomhole. That happened at that time. That was the beginning of the whole plot, eventually leading to Ogie Osarudon becoming the SSG, Philip Shaibu, the deputy governor, to Obaseki. They had an understanding that, look, now it's going to be this, power is going to shift again. It's not going back to the Edo South, which is the most populated senatorial district. And Edo North is next, followed by Edo Central, which is the smallest, in terms of population. So they had this understanding that, look, when power is going to shift, it will come to one of them. And Philip Shaibu is from the north, and that's Edo North, as well as Oshiomhole. So Shaibu is a young man who has made a very impressive presence in politics, not only in the House of Assembly as deputy governor. I think at a point in time he was in the House of Reps too. So he has made a meaningful presence, but things changed when Obaseki started nurturing the idea of neutering Philip Shaibu, and so because he also wants to be the godfather. The same thing they accused Adams Oshiomhole of, that they were forced to leave APC. The Obaseki now wants to be the godfather. He brought somebody from who they consider to be an outsider from Lagos, to be the gubernatorial candidate. That was not acceptable to Philip Shaibu. Shaibu felt he had to challenge it up front because he was working against the agreement. And in any case, if you have to bring somebody, why not one of us, one of those who worked, for the success of Obaseki? Why bring in someone who is external to the party? And that led to this internal struggle. Philip was not under the illusion that he would win that battle. He eventually will eventually remove him from office. But he was determined. Yes, Philip knew.
That he'll be removed from office?
Philip knew. He's not inexperienced. Philip knew. The first time he went to court, to federal court, if you remember in Abuja,
yes,
to stall it, they came to some understanding, some Catholic priests, got involved, and some other key leaders. They said, okay, fine. Then Philip came back and renewed his bid. He knew the consequence. Of course, if you are challenging your boss, you should know the consequence. At a point, you will have to go. So it's a matter of, the governor can easily mobilize the House of Assembly. Philip knew that. He probably only had about 2 supporters in the House of Assembly. So Philip knew that at a point, he will be removed. Politicians are eternal optimists. He will continue. But behind the scene, he knew straight away what would happen. So,
but he's already challenging that.
He's challenging it. The reason is this. Philip did not attend the panel sitting.
Yes.
On the grounds that he had filed a court case in Abuja.
Right.
And that the basic principle is that you maintain the rest. Once an action has been commenced in court and you have been properly served, you do not go further to destroy, the rest, the subject matter of that action. So his lawyer went to the panel sitting The panel gave him 2 opportunities to appear. His lawyer went there to say, look, call the attention to that case. But of course, the retired justice that headed the panel decided to ignore it.
Right.
And then proceed to return a verdict. And that's exactly what has happened. So Philip now is going back to the court, not only to complain to the National Judicial Council about the handling of the case by Justice, the Chief Judge of Edo State, for setting up that panel after being aware that he had actually gone to court. And then also, there's also the issue of challenging the verdict of the panel, that it has destroyed the rest and it's unfair, that he could not have been expected to attend the hearing, knowing that he was already in court.
Perhaps this is why there are those who believe that it's illegal. The decision by the State Assembly is unconstitutional as it is.
Philip is one of those who believe that, and it is only a court that can make a pronouncement. Well, look, I'm not a judge. You can only, what I know is that once a case is in court, you are expected to maintain the status quo.
Right.
Once you have been duly served, you are expected to maintain the status quo. You do not take any action that will destroy the rest. The court will frown at any step taken after being aware, being properly served. What I don't know is whether they were properly served.
Right.
And at what stage, I don't know that.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, status quo is expected to be maintained. Whether a judge will see it from my viewpoint or your viewpoint, I don't know, until when we have a judicial pronouncement.
Interesting. Let's get your perspective to some of the things he raised, especially the fact that he believes that Philip Shuaibu should have known and knows that he was going to be impeached. And you questioned, do you think so? So I want you to expatiate your perspective on that aspect, and also the matter of the constitutionality or unconstitutionality of the whole process.
Well, when he did say that Philip was aware of perhaps what was going to come, talking about the political sledgehammer, I was a bit taken aback. You know, forgive me that I interjected.
Yeah.
I ought not to have done so, but you know, I was thinking that he has a close ally with Philip Shuaibu. Apparently, whether he may have whispered it to him to say, you see, politicians always believe that everything is possible.
Right.
Everything is possible by them. Philip Shaibu was of the house, and he made a lot of impact in the State Assembly when he was there. And then, you know, he said something like cursing the assembly members.
Right, yes, yeah.
He made a statement that had to do. I watched his broadcast also, and then it was the things he was saying. I do not want to believe that Shaibu.
He said it's dictatorship, and he also spoke about, I think, posterity judging those people or something.
Don't forget that at a point in time, Shaibu started lobbying, moving away from PDP to join the APC.
Where a statement of we don't have room for orphans. Refugees, rather, was made.
One of the times he went to meet Oshomole at the airport, the Benin airport, when Oshomole traveled from Abuja to Benin to Edo for a function. When the governor, Shaibu's principal, invited Oshomole to a function in Benin that Shaibu was not allowed to attend. Shaibu went to meet Oshomole at the airport, and Oshomole made some statement. Say, please go respect. We don't encourage people to disrespect their principals. Right. Respect your principal. APC is not a dumping ground where people who are disloyal to their principals will come eventually want to take refuge in. And the same yesterday, his constituency, the APC in his constituency made a statement. Yeah. Aside from that, they released a statement yesterday where they said all kinds of things unprintable that we cannot even talk about on air. Right. So when he said that Shaibu knew that he would be impeached, I was surprised, because beyond the troubles Shaibu was making with his principal, Obaseki was steadfast and was calculating on what to do. The only way to stop Shaibu from contesting this election, apparently, was to impeach him. That was apparently would have been the last card set aside by the governor to, you know, eventually end the whole saga. And, well, if Shaibu knew that he was going to be impeached and he still carried on, then I do not know who would have, well, they say when a madman is dancing, you wouldn't know who is drumming for that madman. Yes, perhaps he had some, some persons will still be telling him, don't worry, carry on.
He has his base, his support.
Do you understand? So, just like he had a parallel primary.
Yes.
He had a parallel primary, while the PDP had another primary.
Yes.
And so he emerged from his own. And then so another person emerged, I think Monday, senator, emerged from the other side. And then he emerged, then we had two gubernatorial candidates emerging from PDP. And so I do not understand it. I do not understand it because in the first instance, he had fought with the PDP chairman, those states, Dan Obi. He had issues with Dan Obi. He has stepped on the toes of several other persons who would have Dan Obi is from his senatorial district. That's the PDP, those state PDP chairman, for instance. These are people who would have joined him in the fight. But how has what has been his relationship with these persons? And so, if he knew, well, fine. But if he still continued knowing that he will be impeached, and then he wanted to see the end, then why is he going to court?
Well, he feels that he might have some leeway at the courts at the end of the day.
He knew he would be impeached. And then he wants a leeway in the court. To do what? To achieve what?
No, you don't seem to understand the essence of going to court. The first time and the second time, he went to court knowing that
no, I'm talking
he
about
was to
now.
be impeached.
I'm talking about now, after the
even
impeachment.
now,
He's
even
saying
now.
to what end?
What
Going
did he
to
achieve?
No, he was already in court before the impeachment.
Right.
He was already in court before the impeachment. And being in
And
court,
the
he
matter
was
has been-
hoping
the
that
matter
was
has
court.
been concluded.
He went to court, withdrew that.
That was the first time.
When he
The
expected
case is
that,
still in court.
when he expected that, you see, all of this is just like a political mess. Shuaibu apparently has grown. And I expected that there would have been some signs of maturity in his political career. Okay? And he knows the workings and understanding.
And the implications.
And the
certain
implications. He has been a fighter. Okay? Combining all of this, he had carved a niche for himself. And so the implications were so overbearing.
But there are those who think that this might turn out in his favor. We had a guest yesterday who said that he could win the sympathy of certain persons who might support him at the end of the day.
Who are the persons? In the PDP, APC people are already protesting. You saw that.
Yeah.
From his own constituency. Not in other not in other area, not in the south, not in Edo North, not in Edo Central, not in Edo North, South. Edo North, his own place, Esako. People were already carrying placards to say, please, he must not defect to APC, where he has been rejected in the PDP. Now, in the PDP itself, I just gave you, I mentioned Dan Obi,
yes,
who is from his place, who is the PDP chairman. He's already at loggerheads with that one. And
there are other parties in the state, aren't there?
You say
there are other parties in the state, aren't there?
Oh, well, the Labour Party is there. Is that what you're trying to suggest?
He can choose any other party to join as it is.
He has worked with other parties in the past, but who is ready to accept him now?
We do not know yet.
We do not know yet. So the fight he wants to go into now, is it to reinstate him as the deputy governor of Edo State? The man he once gave his blessings to, Godwin, is now the deputy governor. The man he once told that he wished and prayed, he prayed for him. He actually prayed for him in one of the occasions, events. He said, I am your senior. I am praying that you will be better than me in the future. And it's the same man that has been appointed
His
as
prayer has been answered.
Yes. So people are even calling him a prophet.
Right.
It's there.
Right.
So you see, Shaibu started well. But I do not think the crisis and conflicts he indulged himself in along the line would help him. You have soiled your hands in your hometown. You had fought the man many in that vicinity, the entire Edo North believe in, particularly his fight against Oshomole. And then you are going back to the same Oshomole to ask him to help you. How would he do it? Particularly when it is alleged that you had a hand in his removal as national chairman of the APC.
Well, it is often said that to err is human and to forgive is divine. So it's possible that he is seeking forgiveness from...
In politics, you don't have eternal enemies.
Right. It's about interest.
It's about interest. That is one thing which you need to understand. What is going on in Edo State is beyond this simplistic analysis, of Philip Shaibu, his role and all that. There are other actors, other factors at play, both within and external. Even the PDP politics itself, as it is going on currently, is part of the problem. Philip is playing a role, as it is currently. We all know that PDP is badly divided. And that division and the sparks involved Obaseki himself. He is arraigned and aligned with one of the parties at the national level against another faction at the national level. The issue is not just about Philip Shaibu. Which role is Philip himself playing? Is it dancing to the tune of another faction within the PDP?
Is that what is happening?
I think so.
Right.
I think so. And I think they will lose the next election. I really think so, because the party is badly divided, as it is currently. It's not only just about the Edo politics, because the two actors, the deputy and the governor, have taken sides with the polarization at the national level within the PDP. So it's not just about the issue of he has fought this, he has fought that. No, it's beyond that. The issues are beyond that. For politicians, we can disagree today. You can be my godfather today, and tomorrow morning I wake up in another person's camp. It's not a problem in politics. But the real game going on, the strategic game going on, is the problem. PDP will eventually collapse.
You think so?
Yeah, maybe before this Edo election or after the Edo election. It's inevitable. PDP needs to rebrand. It's badly divided. Irretrievably, you cannot even reconcile PDP as it is currently. They are already eyeing the issue of the 2027 ticket.
Yes.
And you can see how the whole thing is playing out
how
currently.
Divided they are.
They are badly divided. And you now have another army arraigning themselves willing to move into another political party, led by Ikenga Gochinyere in the House of Reps.
He was the one that spoke, that there's a need for the party to look inwards and address their issues.
Absolutely.
So how is he leading a
They
faction?
are willing to move to another party to create a platform ready. In the case of the implosion of PDP, which is bound to happen. So what is going on in Edo State is somehow mirroring what is happening, at certain levels at the national politics. So it's beyond individual issues that we're actually looking at.
For me,
it's about the soul and heart of PDP. The soul of PDP is going.
Well, for me, I
wonder if you share the same sense, because the matter of the implication for the party has also been played up in recent times with the way this whole matter is going.
Well, as for me, I do not completely want to subscribe to the fact that PDP might lose Edo State. When you remember when Obaseki crossed over to the PDP, there was so much issues with the PDP in Edo State. There was a division because a faction of the PDP said no, they must not give the gubernatorial ticket to Obaseki. You remember the role Wike played in quelling the matter between the candidate, the PDP, who was the person who was supposed to be the PDP candidate for the gubernatorial seat in Edo State, who had already gone to court, and the matter was in Port Harcourt. Monies exchanged hands, and eventually Wike and co called the big wigs together and said, let's
money exchange hands. Do we have evidence to prove
politics?
No, because certain statements we make, we have to be sure.
Well, it was alleged that money exchanged hands, that somehow the man was settled. And then beyond the party big wigs coming together to say, okay, let's do it this way, let's allow him have it. Edo State PDP at that time was divided. But even so, Obaseki still won the election. You see, the politics in Edo State sometimes is difficult to actually project who will win an election and all of that. Agreed that right now, perhaps you want to look at the achievements of the PDP under the leadership of Obaseki and Shuaibu today, juxtaposing that with what we had in the era of Oshomole. Except the people themselves want to actually begin to consider the achievements of this administration. Beyond all of that, I've come to understand that election in some of these places is not precisely 1 + 1 = 2. So otherwise, with the crisis that eroded the PDP when Obaseki eventually found its way to becoming the gubernatorial candidate of the PDP as at the last election and still won, makes it a bit difficult for me, to begin to say, okay, who would? Right now, some of the other parties are also having their personal issues in Edo State.
Right.
Okay, right. Beyond the center, I'm talking about the state now that is in focus. Elections will soon come. I think they have just barely 5 months or thereabout in office before they leave. And then thereabout we'll have another election. Right now, which of the parties that is not having problem in Edo State?
So anything can happen, and that's what's before
the election. Anything can well happen before the election. And these people can reconcile their differences, just like he said.
Right.
They can jolly well before the election reconcile their differences. And somebody can just call Shaibu to say, don't worry, we'll give you another thing. Let's push you away to the House of Reps back where you were once at a point in time.
Right.
And all of this will be set, and he will jolly well withdraw the case again. And who says he must win?
Interesting. I wonder your final thoughts on this matter quickly, where you think this whole matter is headed. You have said that the PDP is imploding as it is.
It's imploding. Don't forget that when Obaseki was contesting for a second time, it's different from when Obaseki is leaving power. And also don't forget the impact that the Labour Party has eroded into the membership of PDP.
Interesting.
It's not as strong as it used to be.
Okay, so we are still, and that will lead us to our next conversation.